If I can have everyone's attention, please. If we could take our seats. The time is approximately 9 a.m. and it is Wednesday, December 10th. And this is the MetroPlan Orlando Board meeting. I'd like to welcome everyone, call the meeting to order. If you have any electronic devices, please silence them so there'll be limited interruptions. If you are going to speak, please speak directly into the microphone. It's important for recording purposes. We're asking our guests who come to the podium, please move the microphone closer to you. Sometimes it's hard to hear. There'll be two opportunities in the meeting to speak public comments. The first one will be in the beginning for consent items or anything that's on the agenda. And the second time will be at the end of the meeting, will be for non-agenda items. Speaker cards, please fill them out so we can keep track who is speaking or who spoke. Please list your name and your address for the record, and you'll be given 2 minutes to speak. I would like to ask Commissioner Moore to lead us in the pledge. Can we please stand, please, Commissioner?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner. We do have an update from the local transit disadvantaged local coordinating board, met on November 13th. I'd like to ask Mayor Bates from Altamont to give us an update. Mayor?
Good morning. The TDLCB met Thursday, November 13th. This meeting was preceded by our annual public meeting on unmet paratransit needs, where we received public comments from Access Links riders. Action items on the agenda included approval of our August TDLCB meeting minutes, approval of the 2026 proposed meeting schedules, approval of the annual expenditure report and the annual operating report, and approval of the Quality Assurance Task Force recommendations to renew the membership of one member representing the disabled and a second member who is a citizen advocate and system user. We had two presentations, which included a 2050 MTP status update, an update from our community transportation coordinator, and our next TDLCB meeting is scheduled for February 12th, 2026 at 10 a.m. That concludes my report. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Any questions for the mayor? Any questions online, Lisa?
No hands raised.
Okay. Thank you. We'll now move on to our safety moment. At this point, we'd like to ask for staff, Mr. Mike Wilson.
Thank you, Chairman Delarian. Good morning, everyone. Usually I talk about the safer people slice of the safe system pie, but today we're going to talk about safer roads and a new kind of roundabout. If any of you have experienced two-lane roundabouts, they can be a little bit challenging. There are some issues with like people making lane changes within the circle, which can surprise those who are entering the circle. And then on the exits, who's going which way, and we can have some crossing paths. But about 30 years ago, the Netherlands developed a new type of roundabout. They call it the turbo. Now, it doesn't mean the drivers go faster. It refers to the spiral shape of the intersection. And the very first one in the U.S. was actually installed in Jacksonville at the intersection of University Boulevard and Merrill Road. So what's interesting and different about the turbo roundabout is that first off, you have raised lane separators. All right. Other thing you'll notice is that the center island is not a circle. It's broken up. And what that does is it makes the inside lanes eventually become the outside lanes as you rotate around the intersection. So what this does, it makes it very simple as long as you're in the correct lane. Your entry lane determines your exit. If you're entering on the right-hand lane, you're going to either make a right turn or go straight. If you're entering the left-hand lane, you can either go straight or left. And there's no lane changes, no confusion along the way. And here's what it looks like in action. This is actually looking from the top of my bicycle helmet and approaching the intersection. You can see the pavement markings there indicating which lane to be in. I'm preparing for a left turn. So you get the full effect. And then as I come up, of course, have to yield to traffic. Now from this entry, I've got 2 lanes that I have to worry about. And wait for that gap. And there's the gap, and off I go. And as you can see, now I'm in the inside lane, but very quickly as I come a quarter turn around, now I am in the outside lane, and I can either turn right here into the university or continue onto the southbound leg of the intersection. Very few conflicts to worry about. Everything's at very slow speed. You can see the vehicle in front of me as I'm going through the circle, going about my speed. So the results on this, first off, this was installed in 2021, so we've got a few years of data to look at. There haven't been any serious or fatal crashes at this intersection, although there were 2 serious crashes that involved drivers who had medical episodes, and of course, that could happen anywhere. But fortunately, they didn't crash into other vehicles, perhaps because of the design of this. There has been an overall increase in total crashes, just as there are with roundabouts generally, as it takes time for people to get used to it. But they're all low speed, tend to be little or no injury involved. And eventually those will smooth out as people get more familiar with it. So that concludes my presentation on the turbo roundabout. Be happy to take any questions.
Any questions from the board? Lisa, do we have any hands raised?
No hands raised.
Mike, I have a question for you. I mean, I've driven quite extensively throughout Europe. I've never seen a problem with multiple lanes, either in Madrid or the UK or France. Is there really a problem with what?
I think it's just a familiarity problem here in the US, not enough practice, and we probably use some more education too.
Because I know in particular, like I remember from Madrid, there's at least 6 lanes in one roundabout that I'm aware of, and I've never had an issue with it.
Right.
Commissioner?
I second the education and familiarity thing. We have one in the lower part of my district, and the residents down there call it a high-speed slingshot. And I think that wasn't the intent of the design, but to the now that we're dealing with that, going back and trying to retrofit some of the signage and kind of limiting the space, that's visual space, is helpful.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner.
thank you so much. Real quick, size of the intersection needed, as how much more land is needed for a roundabout as opposed to a regular 4-way stop or 4-way stoplight?
You do need more space. Of course, it's going to vary by location. I measured this one, and actually the maximum diameter on this is 175 feet. Typically, a 2-lane roundabout, you're looking at 200 to 225 feet. So this is a more compact roundabout, so it will fit into tighter footprints.
Anyone else before we move on? Thank you, Michael. This time move to Executive Director, Mr. Hutman, for your comments in the agenda review.
Yeah, good morning, Chairman Delary and board members. This morning, we have Joe Nunziata here representing the airport in place of Stephanie Kopalusas. And we have Jim Strohs here representing the DOT in place of Secretary Tyler. I do understand that Stephanie is joining the meeting virtually this morning, but Joe will be the voting member for GOA this morning. We also have Commissioner Burns from the city of Orlando representing the city in place of Mayor Dyer, but Commissioner Burns had to join remotely. We also have Mayor Espinosa from the city of Kissimmee joining us virtually. So today is a milestone day for us. It's the day that we adopt or ask you to adopt the long-range transportation plan. You all have a small fan in front of you in your package. We gave these away at our public meeting that we had back in September. We hope that you will take them with you when you leave this morning. And we also have our new branded background up in the center of the office, and would invite you for pictures if you can stick around after the meeting. It should be an early meeting today, so hopefully you can stick around. We would like to get photos along with the MetroPlan fans and have you post those photos on your social media sites and get the word out that this is an important event for the region. The adoption of the 2050 plan is something that we all should feel good about. And I hope you will talk to your constituents on behalf of MetroPlan and be champions out there in the field for us. I attended an ample Association of MPO Policy Committee meeting on Monday, and the focus is still on reauthorization. Just to remind you, the current federal bill expires at the end of September in 2026. Just a word about the schedule going forward. Yet this fall, perhaps early in the winter, they intend to finalize the base text and sharing that information among the staff committees. We're involved in that. Early in the winter, the bills will be released. Chairman Graves anticipates in early spring possible floor time for the bill, and he would like to anticipate passage, at least out of the House, in the spring of next year. What we anticipate happening, consolidation or reduced discretionary funding opportunities. Some of those, what are currently discretionary funds, the committees are working to build those into the formula-based allocation to provide more certainty for MPOs and regions throughout the country. Also a focus on performance measures and continued focus on streamlining, and no surprise on technology and its impact on transportation. Few words about the Lake to Lake Regional Trail. Virginia and I met with Dale Allen and others from the Florida Greenways and Trails Foundation recently with the concept of preparing a master plan for the entire corridor. This would help us in preparing to move into the PD&E phase at the appropriate time. We are cautioned on the length of time between the preparation of the master plan and entering into the PD&E process. So we have to be cautious of that. But it would also help support our request to get on the Office of Greenways and Trails opportunities and priorities maps. We have a follow-up meeting scheduled for Monday, December 15th, with the 3 counties in our region and their staff to agree on the alignment shown on what we're referring to as the composite map. And that is the map that we will submit to the Office of Greenways and Trails, along with all of the supporting documentation for that. And I'll continue to keep you updated. We've talked about the MPOAC Institute from time to time. And for those of you who have an interest in learning more about MPOs and the work we do and the documents that we ask you to approve, the next opportunity will be Friday, May 1st. It's going to be local. It's going to be held at the Extension Office in Orange County. Registration will open in February. And for that, they've revised the program some, so it's no longer a 2-day commitment on your part. It's all in a single day. The day begins at 9 a.m., so a reasonable start time. But it's a great opportunity if you've never attended the Institute, or if you did in the past and would like a refresher. It's a great opportunity. So just let me know of your interest and I'll make sure the registrations are taken care of. The supplemental folders this morning include several items. First is an infographic on our signal retiming program. Commissioner Uribe asked about that at the last meeting. Eric will be presenting on that later this morning on the agenda. That is followed by a fact sheet from the Florida Turnpike on the 417 widening project between Aloma and State Road 434. And that's followed by a flyer on e-bike safety tips. And then very important for your information is an article from the New York Times that's entitled "The Shocking Crash That Led to One County to Reckon with the Dangers of E-Bikes." It is lengthy, but very timely, as we've all been discussing that. So if you have an opportunity to take a look at that, I encourage you to do that. Chairman DeLaury, that completes my announcements. And other than Jim Stroh's here for Secretary Tyler, there are no other changes to the agenda.
Great. Any questions for Gary? Commissioner?
Good morning, Gary. I wanted to comment about the Coast to Coast Trail that we've had a gap in the Orange County section for quite a long time, which has presented some issues, and it's being completed as we speak. And so I can certainly say that this East Coast Trail system really brings a lot of benefits to that area. I've seen Orange County, we've worked on safety measures along Claire Conacoy, and it is the trail extension has provided an opportunity for the citizens to get more involved. And so whatever we can do to help that trail system on the east side, it has benefits more than just the trail system. And I encourage all of you in another month or two, you'll be able to ride through Orange County on the Coast to Coast Trail, and hope you do so.
Yeah, well, thank you for those comments. And there is a lot of momentum and interest in this lake to lake trail. It's a big one. It's a huge project, but I'm encouraged by the positive feedback that we're getting on it.
Any other questions or comments? Lisa, do we have anybody online? Any hands?
No hand
Okay,
raised.
thank you, Gary. This time move to DOT, Jim Strohs. Jim?
Yeah, good morning, Chair and board members. As Director Hutman said, I'm stepping in for Secretary Tyler. Had some meetings in Tallahassee this morning, but I'm happy to be here and share some information on a couple projects in the MetroPlan area. First, I'd like to start with Sunrail, where it was just reported that we surpassed 1.2 million riders so far this year. This number is a 10% increase from this time last year. So great to see 100,000 extra riders on this very important transportation option. To continue to provide flexibility and convenience to riders, there have been 2 late night trains added to both the northbound and southbound schedules. And these trains really come at a great time as we start our holiday initiative that's called the Winter Express. And these extra trains will especially be helpful in the holiday season with the numerous tree lightings and special events across the area. So please think about Sunrail as a transportation option if you or your friends and families want to attend some of those holiday events in the next few weeks. Last month, our work program presentation touched on the Moving I-4 Forward program. I figured it'd probably be a good time to just give a quick update on that project. On Tuesday, November 18th, so just a couple of weeks ago, the Moving I-4 Forward team welcomed more than 120 community members and others to their first program public meeting. As the program transitions further into construction. It was held at the Reunion Resort and Golf Club in Kissimmee, and the meeting highlighted upcoming activities for 3 of the 5 projects. There was informational videos and detailed exhibits, and the team also shared information on the other 2 projects that are still in the design phase. So it was a very successful evening of learning and insight about the upcoming construction phases. So the most recent or most, I guess, prominent construction phase is for Project 1, and that will add ramps from I-4's proposed express lanes directly onto State Road 417, and will also remove the toll booth that's on 417 and provide the overhead collection structures that we see on throughout that corridor. So active and visible construction will begin in early 2026. And as always, for more information, you can visit the Moving I-4 Forward website. For the DOT safety moment, I'd like to highlight December as the National Impaired Driving Prevention Month. In Florida, 25% of fatal crashes involved impaired individuals. So that's 1 out of every 4 crash involves impairment. And as we enter the holidays, this is a good reminder that safe driving and good decisions go hand in hand. When people think of impairment, you usually think of drugs and alcohol, but impairment can be any factor that affects your ability to drive. And this includes prescription drugs, over-the-counter medications, and even lack of sleep. So any substance that affects your ability to drive safely puts your life and other lives at risk. So as we make plans to celebrate the holidays with our friends and families, and if you feel there is a slight chance that you may not be in a condition to drive, please be sure to plan ahead and arrange for that sober drive. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Any questions for Jim? Lisa, do we have any hands raised?
No hands
All right,
raised.
thank you. This time move on to the roll call and confirmation of quorum. Lisa?
Arrington. Bates.
Here.
Constantine.
Here.
Gomez Cordero. Delari.
Here.
Demmings.
Here.
Commissioner Burns for Mayor Dyer.
Present.
Mayor Espinosa,
Here.
Gilbert, Grebe, Janer, Nunziata for Capalusas,
Here.
Moore,
Here.
Nelson,
Here.
Scott, Simrad,
Here.
Commissioner Jordan Smith,
Here.
Mr. Stephen Smith,
Here.
Ortiz,
Here.
Uribe,
Present.
Wilson,
Here.
Woodruff.
Here.
Mr. Chair, that concludes the roll call, and we do have a quorum physically present.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, everyone. We'll now move on to committee reports. First committee will be the Municipal Advisory Committee. Commissioner?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. So the Municipal Advisory Committee met on December 3rd. The MAC approved our November 6th meeting minutes. We recommended the adoption of the 2050 Metropolitan Transportation Plan. We recommended approval of the TIP amendments to the fiscal year 25-26 to fiscal year 29-30 Transportation Improvement Program. At our November meeting, the MAC approved our 2026 board and committee meeting schedule, with the exception of the December 26th meeting, which conflicts with the League of Cities Legislative Conference. At our December meeting, we came up to a consensus that the MAC will meet on Tuesday, December 8th, 2026 to avoid conflicts. We did receive 2 presentations, MetroPlan Orlando's annual traffic signal retiming before and after study, and the Bike Walk Central Florida's Best Foot Forward Program Pedestrian Safety Initiative Annual Report. The MAC meeting meets next on February 5th, 2026. This concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions for the Commissioner? Lisa, any hands raised? Okay, thank you. Thank you. We'll now move on to the Community Advisory Committee.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the board. I am Nelisa Council, the Chair of the Community Advisory Committee. At its December 3rd meeting, the CAC voted to recommend adoption of the 2050 Metropolitan Transportation Plan. Members congratulated the staff on the work that went into the plan. Members emphasized that they think this plan will need to be consistently monitored and updated to keep up with the pace of transportation changes and the needs in Central Florida, particularly in the area of new technology with driverless vehicles and advanced air mobility. The committee also recommended approval of the amendments to the Transportation Improvement Plan program that are on the agenda today and heard presentations on traffic signal retiming and Best Foot Forward program. Recruitment to fill the vacant CAC seats appointed by the MetroPlan Orlando Board is scheduled to begin in January, and a slate of nominees is expected to be offered at our March meeting. The CAC elected leadership for the 2026 calendar year. Ms. Judy Pizzo, who's sitting in the back, was elected CAC Chair, and Ms. Jeanette Frivola was elected Vice Chair. It has truly been my pleasure to report to this board over the past 2 years. Although I am stepping down as chair, I will remain as a CAC member. I thank you all sincerely from my heart for allowing somebody from the community who moved here 12 years ago to become a part of Florida and my community and accepting me as the chair. So thank you so very much for that. The next CAC meeting will be held on January 28th with Ms. Pizzo chairing, and she will make her first report to you on February 11th. Once again, thank you so very much.
Well, first, let me say we want to thank you. It's been a truly honor and privilege to have you here over these past meetings and years. And you've done a phenomenal job, and you are recognized for that. So thank you for being not just a part of the community, but a part of this board. Thank you. Thank you for your hard work. Any comments from the board? Lisa, do we have any hands raised? Okay, thank you. And again, thank you. This time, move on to the Technical Advisory Committee.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and board members. The Technical Advisory Committee met last week on December 5th. Like the other advisory committees, TAC met in person with the physical quorum present. We had 5 action items, all of which were unanimously approved or recommended for your approval, which included our October 24, 2025 meeting minutes, the adoption of the 2050 MTP, amendment to the Transportation Improvement Program, election of the 2026 Technical Advisory Committee officers. Current Vice Chair Miles O'Keefe from Lynx was elected chair, and Umberto Castillero from Orange County was elected vice chair, as well as adoption of the 2026 Technical Advisory Committee bylaws. There was one common presentation shared with the TISMO Advisory Committee, which was Best Foot Forward's annual report. There were 2 TAC-only presentations. Presentation on MetroPlan Orlando's annual traffic signal retiming before and after study, and a presentation and discussion on the 2026 call for project guidelines. There were no public comments received. Our next meeting is January 23rd at 10 a.m. And I would like to thank everybody. I know I thanked everyone last month because I thought that was my last one, but you'll be seeing me around with some other news you'll hear. So this concludes my report, and thank you all.
And again, thank you for your hard work as well. Any comments from the board? Lisa, do we have any hands raised? No, thank you. We'll now move on to the Transportation System Management and Operation Advisory Committee.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. The Transportation System Management and Operations TISMO Advisory Committee met on December 5th. 5 items were approved at the meeting. The first item was the minutes of the October 24th meeting. The second item was staff's request to approve the adoption of the 2050 Metropolitan Transportation Plan. Staff's request to amend the fiscal year 2025-26 through fiscal year 29-30 TIP was the third item we approved. A letter from FDOT explaining the requested amendments is included in today's agenda. Next, we approved our officer selection and bylaws review subcommittee recommendation for Ms. Christina Colon, Osceola County, to serve as the chair, and Mr. Lenny Barden, once again, from City of Altamont Springs as vice chair for 2026. Lastly, we approved our officer selection and bylaws review subcommittee recommendation to update the TISMO bylaws to reflect the name change of the Reedy Creek Improvement District to Central Florida Tourism Oversight District. We had 2 presentations. Mr. Carlos Bonilla from Osceola County gave a presentation on the county's signal retiming evaluations. The second presentation was by Mr. Charlie Wetzel, the Seminole County, on the county's traffic signal performance program. The next meeting of TISMO Advisory Committee is on January 23rd, 2026 at 8:30 a.m. To close with the new selection of TISMO officers for 2026, this will be my last board meeting, and I greatly appreciate the support I received from the Metropolitan Orlando staff in performing my duties. That concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say thank you as well. All your hard work, everyone on these committees do a phenomenal job. We couldn't do what we do if the hard work wasn't done to lay it up for us. So thank you very much. Any comments from the board? Lisa, any hands raised? Okay, thank you. We'll now move on to public comments for action items only. This is for the agenda items that have action. Lisa, do we have any requests?
I have not received any requests.
Okay, thank you. We'll now move on to consent agenda. This is items A through E. Is the direction from the board?
So moved, Uribe. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, like sign. Motion passed unanimously. Thank you. We'll now move on to other action items, which is A, which is the approval of the 2050 MetroPlan Transportation Plan. We'll now hear from staff.
Hello and good morning. So today is the day we are going to be taking action upon the 2050 Metropolitan Transportation Plan. As a bit of a recap over this 2-year journey, we've done a lot of work, covered a lot of ground throughout the development of this document, and included all of our public and agency participation along the way. And now we're at that last step, the plan adoption and future implementation over the next several years following today. Additional information about the 2050 MTP is included in your agenda packets under Section 2. But as I mentioned, those public participation items, wanted to highlight our final public participation metrics for you today, because we've exceeded many of our own public engagement goals that we set for this plan's development. So more than 13,500 people engaged with us through this MTP development process through either our 40 in-person engagement events that we held throughout the region. Over 490 people attended our virtual online events. We received over 860 survey responses and received over 56,000 social media impressions across our 4 social media platforms. We've also discussed this plan at length in these advisory and board meetings. Held 11 MTP technical workshop sessions where we were deep in the weeds on the plan's development, and hosted over 110 meetings, either interdisciplinary interviews or local coordination meetings with your staff to ensure that this 2050 plan is representative of our region's vision for transportation through 2050. Now, we previewed the 2050 MTP at your last meeting, and since our last meeting, we have had a few very minor revisions based on partner agency feedback that we've received. A detailed summary of those revisions is included in your agenda packets under section 2, but in short, that included minor typographical revisions to our various chapters, dotting the i's and crossing the t's, incorporating the final public participation metrics and documentation now that our public review period has closed, including some additional information about the Florida Wildlife Corridor, a few minor edits to maps and figures to incorporate additional planning consistency projects, incorporating the latest financial information from our transportation improvement program, including the amendments from your last meeting and the ones you're going to hear about shortly, as well as some updates to the local and turnpike project lists based on agency coordination. So additional information about the 2050 MTP again is included in section 2 of your agenda packets. The 2050 MTP was recommended for approval by all 4 advisory committees unanimously. And unless there are any questions this morning, we are asking for your approval of the 2050 MTP and the congestion management process as it's been presented today.
Any questions for staff? Any hands raised? Okay, direction from the board. We have a motion and a second. This is a roll call vote. Lisa?
Arrington, Bates,
Yes.
Constantine,
Yes.
Gomez Cordero,
Yes.
Delory,
Yes.
Demmings,
Yes.
Burns for Dyer, Espinosa,
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes. Burns, yes, sorry.
Thank you. Grieve. Nunziata for Capalusis.
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Simrad,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Ortiz,
Yes.
Uribe,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Woodruff.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Before we move on, I just want to thank Taylor and Gary Hutman and his staff for all their hard work. This is a big deal. And I just wanted to thank you for all the things that you've done for this, get us to this point. So, well done.
And thank you.
At this time, we'll move on to the amendment to the FY 2025-2026 and FY 2028-28 2029-2030, excuse me, Transportation Improvement Plan. This time we hear from staff.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. We have 2 amendments to the Transportation Improvement Program on the agenda today. Both have been approved through our advisory committee process earlier this month. The first is a good news item. Osceola County received a federal discretionary grant to conduct basin studies to look at stormwater impacts on their transportation system. So Osceola County received those funds. Federal Highway Administration wants to finalize that grant agreement, and those funds need to be included in the Transportation Improvement Program so that project can move forward and the county can start getting that work underway. The second project is a change to an existing project that we have in the Transportation Improvement Program. That's a project being led by Florida's Turnpike Enterprise, and that project being the Point Siena Parkway from County Road 532 to I-4 in the 429 area. That this is one of the governor's Moving Florida Forward projects, and there have been cost increases on the right-of-way side of the project, but also good news that construction is actually being expedited, and those funds are being added to current year. So with that, we are requesting your approval today, but I'll do my best to field any questions that you may have.
Okay. Before we get before we get to the motion, is there any questions from the board? Any hands raised, Lisa?
No hands.
Okay, now we'll go for motion. Commissioner?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This is a roll call vote. Lisa?
Arrington,
Yes.
Bates,
Yes.
Constantine,
Yes.
Gomez Cordero.
Yes.
Delari,
Yes.
Jennings,
Yes.
Burns for Dyer,
Yes.
Espinosa,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Nunziata for Capalusis,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Simrad, Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Ortiz,
Yes.
Uribe,
Yes.
Wilson, Woodruff.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda, number C, which is the election of the MetroPlan Orlando Board of Directors. Each December, MetroPlan's meeting is considered our annual meeting, during which we elect officers for the upcoming year. Generally, the board follows a set of rotations. The vice chair moves up to chair, the secretary moves up to the vice chair, and then we elect a secretary treasurer from the same jurisdiction of the outgoing chair. Those need to be motions and voted on. First action this morning would be the election of the new chair for 2026. It's definitely my honor to be your chair, and I look forward to working with the new chair. At this time, is there a motion for the new chair?
So moved.
Who?
To move our vice chair to chair.
Okay, and that was, can you?
Oh, yeah, it's Commissioner Christine Moore.
Thank you.
Her.
I understand that, but for the record, we need to have a name. I'm sure the attorney would appreciate that. Okay. Yeah, we have a motion. Is there any other nominations? Seeing none, we'll call the question. All in favor of the motion, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion passes.
Mr. Chair,
Congratulations.
I didn't hear a second.
Excuse me?
I didn't hear a second to that. You said, thank you.
Okay, at this time, we'll move to the election of the vice chair. Once again, honoring rotations, I'd like to ask for a motion for Janer.
Second, you reading?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other nominations? Seeing none, we'll call the question. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like
Aye.
sign. Motion passes. Congratulations. And finally, we'll make the motion to elect the individual from Seminole County that will fill the secretary treasurer position. Open for nominations. Is there a second? Yep, second. Any other nominations?
Question.
Yes.
Are there any other Seminole County representatives? I know Commissioner Constantine on here, but he's not on here as. No, but I didn't. Are you representing the county? That's all I asked.
We are.
Both of you are representing the county. Okay, so that was just a question.
And Mayor Bates.
Well, yes. We have a couple of representatives here from Seminole County. We have the mayor of Sanford, we have Mayor Bates, we have Commissioner Constantine, we have myself.
But my understanding was they have to be commissioners.
That's correct.
They have to be commissioners. Okay.
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 Just
one
any other-
clarification. I know you just.
Any other
wanted-
questions?
Nope. I'm good.
Any other nominations? Seeing none, we'll call the question. All in favor of the nomination, so going to be saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Joanne.
Thank you. Appreciate everyone's support. At this time, I'd like to refer to our attorney, Jay Small, for additional comments about appointments to MPO. Mr. Small? Microphone, please.
Judge, how often I speak at these meetings. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We were recently privileged to be retained as general counsel to the Space Coast TPO, and in that process of getting up to speed, I had the occasion to review its appointment policies, and I thought that it would be appropriate to bring to the attention of Mr. Hutman and the board the results and findings of that, so that moving forward we have done a belts and suspenders sort of procedure. Currently, MetroPlan does not have a policy or procedure that deals with the appointment, how the appointment is occurring from its voting board members. The authorizing statute in Chapter 337 doesn't speak to that issue. Moreover, that creates not a concern, but just a thing that we need to be attentive to. Any action that's taken by a local governmental entity has to comply with the provisions of the Sunshine Act, including those in Section 286. So in moving forward, what I think is going to be productive not only for MetroPlan, but for each of its partners and voting agencies is to make sure that there is in the record from the governmental entity a appointment decision at a publicly noticed meeting. And that meeting should be recorded. I was speaking with Mr. Hutman earlier today. I think that's the procedure that Seminole County follows. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that process took place yesterday.
And for the record, that did take place yesterday at a board meeting.
So let's talk about the consequences of not having in the record a publicly noticed meeting where a voting member is appointed by a municipality or a county. Probably it's not going to have a significant impact on the operation of MetroPlan. The only issue where it could occur is if that individual is not appropriately appointed, there could be an issue with respect to a quorum. If there is a situation where a individual from one of the partner agencies or governmental entities, I should say, hasn't been appropriately appointed, that can be corrected after the fact with a public meeting, and it can be ratified. So moving forward, I would just want to caution each of the members and make sure that they take back to their respective governmental entities that the legal opinion of the board's council is that the appointment of a voting member should occur at a public meeting, and that should be recorded. It should be noticed as a public meeting. Moving forward, we'll have the opportunity to look through the respective interlocal agreements. It may be that I come before the board with a recommendation that that language or that protective provision be put in the interlocal agreement. So that, Mr. Chairman, those essentially conclude my comments. There's no issues that have occurred. It's just moving forward. I thought that it would be appropriate that we address it so that there are no issues. The only other potential concern could be, and I'm not familiar precisely with the auditing provisions, but in the auditing process, we don't want to have a situation where some issue arises that we could have addressed on the front end at this point in time.
If there's no objections, I think that our attorney needs to document what he just told us to the executive director in writing so that we have that paper trail.
We prepared a memo. I was in trial this last week. I want to initial that, and I will have that done.
Okay. And
it
then
will be today that Mr. Hutman has the
reason why I'm asking for that is because I think the Gary Hutman should send that to all agencies that sit here at MetroPlan Orlando.
I agree. That's a very good suggestion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Any other comments? You're going to be first, and just want to make sure. Any comments, Commissioner?
Do you see a benefit in retroactively noticing and in agendaing nomination?
I'm not aware of any particular problem that's arisen. So what I will do in answer to your question, and I'll report back to Mr. Hutman, if we find a situation where one of the entities, governmental entities, has an issue with that, we'll advise Mr. Hutman, and then that can be taken care of. I want to be respectful of your governmental entity's time, and I don't want to. I'd rather advise each entity if there's an issue.
And much to that, once we get the paper trail to Mr. Hutman sends it to each one of our appropriate organizations. If there's questions, I'm sure they'll go through the proper channels. And if need be, the attorneys can talk to each other.
Thank you, sir.
Any other comments?
Yeah,
Mayor?
quick question on the same thing, or would that apply to our appointments to committees? Or are you just talking about appointments to the board?
That's a good question. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're talking about appointments to the board under section 337. So it's the statute that directs the appointment of voting members. So it has no impact on the committees. It may be, and I'm going to leave this up to, I haven't looked at the issue. It may be something that you want to take back to your respective council. I don't see any downside in doing that. But my perspective is that the members of this board are the decision makers. The advisory committees are in fact advisory committees. They don't take votes on any specific item that comes before the board. So I'll look at that issue and supplement my findings if necessary.
Any other questions? Lisa, are there any hands raised? Okay. See no other comments, we'll move on. Thank you. This time move on to item number 10, which is informational items only for acknowledgement. Section 3 is a motion to accept.
So move to Reading.
Second more.
Okay. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion passes. Now move on to other businesses, MetroPlan annual traffic signal retiming. We'll hear from staff.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. In your folders, you should find an infographic. It looks like this. It summarizes pretty much what I'm going to present to you this morning. And so this is our 23-24 traffic signal retiming project. We do this annually to improve traffic flow, of course, but to reduce delay at intersections and to try to use this as a way to mitigate speeding and improve intersections for bicyclists and pedestrians. The next few slides will show the intersections and roadways that we have retimed. Here, Orange County roadways and intersections. Seminole County roadways and intersections. Osceola County roadways and intersections. Now, because of the increase in population, traffic in our region, we've had an increase in traffic signals. And so the amount that we have been budgeting for this retiming has not stayed pace with that. So what we want to do is identify some opportunities to reduce the cost for the retiming program so that we can become more efficient. And so I'll speak a little bit about that later. And one of the ways that we've done this is through technology. When we first started this program 15 years ago, we were using floating cars. People were riding in cars with stopwatches and clipboards and collecting data. So then we moved to Bluetooth sensors because cars got smarter, and so did we. So now cars have even gotten even smarter because now they serve as probes, and that's how we are collecting the data. And with each version, we've done pilot tests to confirm that it's a good use of data. The metrics that we use to evaluate the program are shown here, and it's a balancing act. In some instances, we make improvements, but we may lose something somewhere else. The other thing is that we rely on benefit costs. We put some emphasis on that over the years. And what we're seeing now is that perhaps we need to go beyond that. Not this, we don't want to get rid of it, but we want to go beyond that and develop some other ways that we can evaluate traffic signal retiming improvements. So here are the results. And again, the infographic shows this. We have shorter travel times on 50% of the roadways that we retimed. Now this has impact, again, this is a balancing act, has an impact on emissions and fuel consumption. So 50% of the roadways had an increase, or because of that, we had 50% of the roadways did not have shorter times. So that's where the balance of that comes into play again. We had the corridors that we retimed, 80% of them had reliable travel times. 85% of the corridors, motorists are now arriving on green. 25% of the intersections had a reduction in delay. 6% of the intersections had less pedestrian delay. And again, that is one of the areas that we want to try and do more, put more emphasis on, and how we make the intersections more appropriate for other modes of transportation. So remember, I mentioned benefit cost. This has been one of the things that we've kind of like focused on and used as a surrogate for how well we're doing. But it was negative during this year. It's not the first time it's been negative. It's been negative before, but over the years, we've always had a positive, which means that we're doing a good job. But this is what it's looked like historically. Now, we've been doing this for about 15 years. And I can recall when we first started doing this, and I mentioned this, and I'm looking around, and I think Commissioner Delary was the only one that was on our board. But
I believe Buddy Dyer, Mayor Dyer was on the board too.
Okay, I'm sorry, I don't see him.
Don't mean to contradict you,
but okay, so but I remember saying, you know, we're gonna get as much as we can out of these traffic signals, because some of these roads are oversaturated, they're constrained, and so there's only so much we can get out of these traffic signals. And as I showed you, there's been an increase in the number of traffic signals that we have in the region. So, but again, this is just a data point. Just use this as a guide as we move forward. So, one of the old adages I've learned years ago, winning can mask a lot of underlying issues. I mentioned the signals are pretty much well optimized. The implementation of our retiming programs. So we collect data at a certain point, and then we collect data afterwards. Sometimes when we collect the data after, things have changed. And I like to use Osceola County with a lot of work zones that are occurring there. Alafaya Trail, last May, or when we did this retiming, in May, they had 25 graduations at UCF. Throws things out of whack. We have 4 vendors that we use for the retiming, and sometimes we have one doing the retiming on a roadway and another one doing the retiming on the intersection roadway. And so the coordination is a little off. So we want to try and fix that, improve it. Side streets. When we first started doing this, I remember that was the major concern. You fix the main corridor, but now I got to wait longer. And we did some pilot tests 2 years in a row, and we discovered that the side streets do not wait longer. However, now with the increase in travel and population, we need to address that. And I already mentioned work zones. So I've given this presentation to all of our committees, taken feedback, and of course, technology. That's one that we hear a lot about. And one of the things that we want to do more with, we're already doing a lot with technology, but we want to do more with in terms of traffic signal retiming. Vulnerable road users, again, we want to see how we can make it so that pedestrian bicyclists do not have to struggle to get through some of these intersections. And then I'll just, if I can, just refer to a Conference of Minority Transportation Officials meeting I went to in July in New York City. And one of the commissioners talked about we need to look at these intersections as sacred places where we do not have to fear going into and without realizing that we're going to come out of those safely. Freight movement, that was one that was brought up by the Municipal Advisory Committee. How does that impact the timing work that we're doing? Test versus control. Again, one of the comments at the Municipal Advisory Committee is, do we compare the roadways that we're retiming with the ones that we don't and see if there's a difference? So all of this has pretty much come to, and this was a discussion we had on our TISMO committee, is that we want to do what I'm calling a knowledge transfer workshop. And we want to get together, powwow, talk about what's available in terms of technology, what's available in terms of strategies, what performance measures can we use, what can we develop a methodology on how we identify these intersections and roadways. My understanding is a lot of it's based on complaints. It's based on history. When's the last time you retimed it? Well, do you still need to retime it? We don't know, but a strategy, an approach that we can use that's consistent across the region. And then on the back end, what performance measures can we identify? We don't want to get rid of that BC ratio. I think that has some merit, but what else can we use to evaluate the effectiveness of this program? Mr. Chairman, that concludes my presentation.
Great. Any questions for staff? Mayor?
First, I've been on since 2008, so.
Thank you for joining the club, Mayor.
Yeah. What a club it is. My concern still is all you need is somebody to press the crosswalk button and it throws everything off. Do they retime after somebody does that? I mean, just hit 436 and you sit there because somebody's crossing and all the other lights are green, and it's rather frustrating, and it throws everything off, that one crosswalk that somebody uses.
Yeah, and that's a fair comment, and it happens. And the traffic engineers, we've had some discussion on it. It's not pedestrian but bicyclists as well. Early on, that was one of the things they complained about. A pedestrian hits the crosswalk button, it throws all my signals off. But again, these are sacred places, and if that is what happens, it does calibrate itself or recalibrate itself to the best that we can at this point. Now, I mentioned the workshop we want to have, and these are some of the comments or not issues, but items we want to have some discussion on to see if we can address something like that. And my apologies, Commissioner. Thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioner Moore?
Thank you for the presentation, Mr. Hill. Do you have a list of which corridors that you evaluated, and then what is the process to elect or suggest a new corridor from what we're hearing from our constituents?
So we rely on your traffic engineers to give us those corridors and intersections. And again, we want to see if there's a way that we can, be more scientific in how we select those corridors and intersections. We want to listen to the traveling public. If they identify that, this signal is out of whack, there could be a reason why. And so we want to develop a methodology and so that we can address or at least identify those corridors and intersections that need to be retimed. Now, the other thing that's going to help us with is being more efficient and more effective, more efficient with our resources, because maybe those are corridors and intersections we don't need to retime.
So you're suggesting that if we want to see which corridors we're evaluating, ask our own staff?
No, I apologize. I can give you that on the ones that we have already retimed, and the ones that we're retiming now, because we're underway with the retiming effort for this year now.
And I've got one to suggest to you after the meeting.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Reeby?
Can you share your correlation between a city, county, and a state road when it comes to this retiming? Because if it were so clean that it was just one thing, but you could have a state road interfacing with a county road, and I've actually got a place where it's a county road, state road, city road.
Yeah, and a lot of that is on that one bullet when I talked about coordinating. Oops. Right here, proper system level coordination. Not only do we have multiple vendors that are doing this, we have different roadways that are under different ownership. And so how we become more efficient in how we do that. I mean, some of these roadways, again, they are owned by a county or owned by a city or state road. And so there's different traffic movements, there's different demands on those roadways. And so we want to try and do the best we can to accommodate all of the traffic that's occurring, and whether it's a county road or a city road. There are some state roads that go through multiple jurisdictions. And so we want to make sure that the experience is the same the entire length of that roadway.
So if I also too have suggested roads, because I understand where you're saying there's an underlying issue. Clearly, we have a transportation issue. But I mean, we're looking at some sort of relief or some sort of coordination to assist in flow. And I think that's what we're trying to do with resignalization. I would also like to know more, and when you guys have your committee to do that also.
Oh, okay. Wonderful.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? I'm sorry, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. Thank you for your presentation. I just have a fundamental question. Are we meeting with law enforcement to get some feedback? Those are the guys who are most exposed to our road issues and especially traffic departments within the police departments. Are we getting their feedback to deal with any of these issues?
We have not to date. However, I think you bring up a good point, because the one thing I've learned through our community traffic safety teams, which are represented by law enforcement, is that law enforcement, first responders are the eyes and ears on the roadway. We can look at data, but on the ground, that could be something different. And again, that's where law enforcement comes into play. Now, we want to reflect that in how we are, and I'm calling this an evolution in this program, how this evolves. Because one of the questions that came up was the red light running cameras. How is that affecting the traffic signals, or is there any impact that these cameras have at certain intersections? But it's a good point, and we will reach out to law enforcement. So just to answer your question, yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Any other questions? Lisa, do we have any hands raised?
No hands raised.
The only comment that I have is on that list, you have work zones. There are times when you're driving around and you see a sign that says work zone, or, work, but you don't see any people and you don't see any equipment. So you do get desensitized. And so there's a lot of times that I drive around and I see those signs. I'm like, let's see who's working. And you don't see anyone and you don't see equipment. So when do you believe the work sign is really a work sign? It's a philosophical question.
Okay, thank you, because I don't have an answer.
I know that's just a philosophical statement. I've always wanted to ask that question, and I figured this would be the perfect time to do it. It's quite comical. So, thank you very much for your hard work. At this time, move the public comments. Lisa, do we have any written requests?
No written request, but I've received a request for public comment from Ms. Joanne Canellis.
Okay. So Joanne, if you come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record, and you will have 2 minutes. Take your time. Your name and address for the record first. Okay. Go ahead. We got to turn the microphone on.
Okay. Hello, this is Joanne Canellis, 324 Claremont Avenue, Lake Mary, Florida, 32746. Yes, we do need 24 hours train service and scout service and the bus service too, please, so that no one would be stranded like that. Okay? Everywhere. We need 24 hours transportation services everywhere, please.
Okay.
If these people complain about not having the bus in Seminole County, please bring it back and let us keep this scout too.
Okay.
Please. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else, Lisa?
Yes, Mr. David Bottomley.
Is working?
Yes, it's working.
David Bottom Lane, Woodbury Pine Circle, Orlando. I am celebrating 32 years as a wheelchair driver, and I am red, retired, extremely dangerous. So we got the band all together here. That's good to see. 2 years ago, I gave a comment on Florida Statute 337.408, which is regarding bus stop ownership. It's been changed. Okay, let's go back to bus stop. A bus stop can be established just by putting a pole in the ground. But according to the statute, you put any hardware there, even now a street light, it has to be ADA compliant. Okay, who's responsible for that? Well, Florida Statute 337.408 spells this out. For years, it's been always up in the air. Now it's up to the local municipality where that bus stop is. They have jurisdiction over to it. There are a lot of concrete benches and benches out there sitting on concrete slabs. And when I spoke 2 years ago, I brought up one example, and all the municipality did, and he's not here, I don't think. They just took the concrete bench away. So now it's compliant. This is ludicrous. We have a bus lines, not a transit system that's at least 60 years old. I've been here since 69. I had hair, okay? We need to do something about it. It's up to the local municipalities, and now it's in Florida statutes, thanks to the late Dean Perkins that got this done. Let's make this a more pedestrian friendly, transit friendly, especially for Joanne. This issue's been going on for at least 25 years. This is ridiculous. An idea on how to solve this. Well, Commissioner Jana, you're on the Links board. Have Links contact or have the Public Works Department. Yeah, I see a couple behind me. Contact Links on the ridership numbers of the particular bus stops. Then go ahead and have their plans amended to that. Have a nice day, and thank you for shopping our Kmart.
Thank you, David. Anyone else, Lisa?
No more hands raised.
No hands raised either?
No more
Okay, thank you.
requests to speak.
At this point, if there's no additional public comments, I'd like to close public comments and go to board comments. Board members, any comments? Lisa, any hands raised? Great. Our next meeting will be February 11th. And I can't believe I'm going to say 2026, but it'll be next year, 2026. Wish everyone a good holiday. Merry Christmas. We'll take a photo.
Just if anybody wants to stay behind him, once it came in late.
I'm sorry, can you talk to the microphone?
I believe Gary wanted us to take a photo for the people who came in late so that they're aware.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to remind board members, if you have a few minutes, we'd love to get your picture by the new board out in the center of the office.
Great. Okay. So you know the comments, this meeting is now adjourned. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.